Welcome back. When Bashar al-Assad fled Syria, he left the country in a strategic vacuum. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken appears to be looking to capitalize. This past weekend, Blinken confirmed that the United States had made direct contact with the HTS rebel group. Speaking in Jordan this past weekend, Blinken signed off on a set of guiding principles for Syria's transition with officials from 8 Arab nations, Turkey, and the European Union and the United Nations. Why don't we take a listen?
America and our partners have an important stake in helping the Syrian people chart this new path. We know that what happens inside of Syria can have powerful consequences well beyond its borders, from mass displacement to terrorism. And we know that we can't underestimate the challenges of this moment. We agreed that the transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned, and produce an inclusive and representative government. The rights of all Syrians, including minorities and women.
Spokesperson for the State Department, Matt Miller, elaborated the importance of these guiding transition principles today. Why don't we take a listen to that?
The Secretary returned this weekend from his latest trip to the Middle East, where he discussed the principles that he outlined early last week as essential for delivering on the aspirations of the Syrian people after the fall of the brutal dictator Bashar al-Assad. Those principles include that the transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned and produce an inclusive and representative government, that the rights of all Syrians, including women and minorities, should be respected, that humanitarian aid should be able to reach people who need it, that Syria should not be used as a base for terrorist groups and should have peaceful relations with its neighbors.
Now, it's important to keep in mind after these statements that the leader of HTS, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, has a $10 million bounty on his head. As he has ties to al-Qaeda, the State Department has also designated HTS as a terror organization as well. Elsewhere, President-elect Donald Trump cast a bit of a different idea of how he views Syria today when he was taking questions from journalists at Mar-a-Lago.
Will you ask Putin to give up Assad?
Well, I hadn't thought of it. I think we have to get on with our lives. We'll have to see what happens. But right now, Syria has a lot of, there's a lot of indefinites. Nobody knows what's going to happen with Syria. But I think Turkey is going to hold the key to Syria, actually. I don't think you've heard that from anybody else, but I've been pretty good at predicting.
Joining us now to discuss is Josh Hammer, Senior Editor-at-Large of Newsweek. Sir, we appreciate you coming back to the show. Obviously, you wrote an op-ed about the ongoing situation in Syria. It's very clear that Donald Trump wants to put America first. He's viewed the situation getting involved specifically with a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of indefinites happening right now in that situation. Where do you believe, from your vantage point, that we stand in regards to Syria at the moment?
I don't think anyone really knows, is the honest answer. I mean, Syria is it's literally one of only 4 or 5 U.S. State Department recognized state sponsors of terrorism. They are up there with North Korea, Iran, Cuba, other regimes like that. Look, Bashar al-Assad was a world historical tyrant. I mean, even by the relatively bleak standards of the Arab world, he was a Ba'athist. He comes from the same kind of pan-Arab nationalism hue as Saddam Hussein back when he was the dictator of Iraq for multiple decades. And no one should shed any tears whatsoever that Bashar al-Assad is gone. The problem is that the people that are replacing him are not necessarily a whole lot better. In fact, there's actually potential for this to go even more awry. And my column, which was titled "How Not to Think About Syria," I've seen a lot of people just cheering on the demise of Bashar al-Assad as if this is an unmitigated good thing. Again, no one should shed any tears for the fact that this man, who has a personal death toll of probably 500,000 to 600,000 people, someone who used chemical weapons on his all people. I mean, someone who's going to go down the history books as an all-time historical evil person.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.